first thing you're going to want to do is pick out a design, a layout of how you're going to lay these panels out on your wall. And they are fairly large. This right here is 2 sets of panels. So we have 12 total panels here. And we had some problems with the drywall where the people that owned the house before us had hung up some things on the walls, and they just messed up the drywall pretty bad, and we tried to get it fixed, but it still came out after it was painted that you could see some differences in the texture. So we wanted to cover those up. A regular picture just wasn't going to fit the wall correctly with the slope ceiling and just the way we have things set up over there. That's just for reference, that's a 65-inch TV, and we wanted to try and keep everything abstract. So when we laid these out, you can see I've actually, at first I didn't have any going behind the TV, but then we ended up putting the last one to go behind the TV a little bit just to keep it more abstract. But in the beginning, these panels basically just followed covering some faults in the drywall texture where you could see it on the paint. So that's kind of why we ended up with this. In the very end, we still wanted to keep it really abstract. It's hard not to make it symmetrical, but I think the whole point of these is to make them look pretty abstract. The hexagons are cool, the lines are cool. You can either follow those lines, or you can follow the piping, for lack of better words, when you do the design. So you can check whatever you want to do with them. And sometimes you want to make them where they'll end, and sometimes you want to make them where it looks like they're going to actually continue on across the whole thing. So we kind of did both there. Now, I did order a set of the blue ones. They were more of a royal blue, so they were just too bright. They didn't really go with anything in the room. But I'm going to cover also putting these up, and they are fragile to some extent from what people have said. I did have a broken one. I'll show you a little tip about that, how to fix that if you have one that's busted. I'm going to show you the trick to putting them together and the box that they're going to come in. So some of the basics, and I'll show you a couple little tips actually about mounting them as well. Here's what you're going to receive when you order these wave panels. You got your box here, and inside that's going to contain 6 of your panels. There's 2 different designs. You're going to get enough of these plastic pieces here to build your frames. You're going to get a bunch of clips. Clips are used, as you'll see, to hold the frames together. And then you're also going to have a mounting kit, and this is depending on your situation how you want to mount these. You have your screws and washers, and you're also going to have some of these double-sided tape, which I've read on the reviews rather, that these don't hold very well. So a lot of people are using actually command strips or something stronger. I don't like to use things like this though, because this is what's going to tear your drywall up and when you pull it off. Obviously these won't, because these will probably just fall off, but if you use some 3M tape and stuff like that, it can pull your paint off. The command strips should probably be fine if that's the way you choose to go, but you'll also have your manual here. You know, it shows you different layouts. I think that's fine, great, but the main thing is you're going to want to try and get your lines to make some sort of something cool, some sort of sense, design, artistic layout. So I'm going to show you how these go together right here. I'm going to show you a couple other things that I think are good to also have. A small level. This will get you started off when you're putting these up on the wall. You can put this on here, and you can make sure that you're gonna start out level with it. And I did it every other one after that, just to kind of keep them close. And also, if you do end up breaking one of these, and I'll show you where they break when I put this together here in a second. I'll do a close-up of it. I had one, everything was fine, and I thought, well, people's reviews, I don't know what they're talking about. And then I had one where I just touched this together with the other part, and it just came apart. So it was pretty much already broken when I received it. But if that happens, a soldering gun. So you can do a little bit of basically some plastic welding will fix that. And I'll show you that here when I show you how to assemble these. But what I ended up using on the wall, and I'll show you here in a little bit, is I use the washers, and I actually find that their screws are too thick, they're too girthy, so I went and got some drywall screws, which are specifically for drywall, hence the name drywall screw. And they're a lot thinner, they're not going to put as big of a hole that you might want to have to, fix, repair, whatever. So get some drywall screws that are thinner, in my opinion, and you can use their washers though, but as I say in this other part here, you'll see that I don't think they supply enough, so you're going to need to buy some more. And I'll put in a little link to that, some washers and some drywall screws as well, so you'll be set up there if you want to go that route instead of using the tape. A lot of people just like to throw the tape up, but it seems to be a problem for some people. All right, when you're assembling these, you have one side that has this little T that sticks out, and on the other side here, there's a slot it's going to go into right there, and there's a small tab. And what happened on my other one was this tab was broken, but hopefully all yours will be good. And what you're going to do is you're going to take that T, you're going to put a little bit of an angle and just push that tab just a little bit, and then you can slide the T down it. And you heard it click right there, hopefully. But that goes down in there, it clicks, and that tab's going to go just over the T. You can see right there. Now, if you have a broke one, what you're going to want to do is take your soldering iron and you're going to want to go over the seam. So I took out this old soldering iron that I had and got it nice and hot, and you can just basically, hold this together, put it on the table so it's flat, and I just went right down that seam. And it melted those two pieces together right there. You can do it on up here too if you want, or on the side, as long as that side's not going to be seen. But I just did it all right here, and then I flipped it over and did it on the other side. And it holds great. There's no problem. I was going to use glue, but I didn't have super glue, which is another option. They actually have plastic super glue, but just a soldering iron will do it. Now that we've gone over how to assemble the frames, let's take a closer look at the panel here. These are, as in the descriptions, they're about 17 across a flat part. If you do them diagonal, they're about 19 inches. So fairly large size compared to most of the other ones are 12 by 12. These are a dual density, so they have a regular foam on top, and then there's actually a denser type of fiber foam here down below. Whereas the purpose of that would be they're saying that the regular foam is going to get the higher frequencies, and this down here will actually help out with some of the high to mid frequencies, the actual denser foam. Now, these, if you look into a lot of videos on sound and reflections and everything, the best part for these, the best place for these is probably going to be behind you, so you don't have sound going past you, bouncing off the wall behind you, and then coming back to your ears. Or it's going to be on the sides of the walls where you're going to have, say, a reflection that's going to bounce off the wall from your side speaker. Then it's going to come to you. Now, that being said, these are basically just to, I think, just to cut down echoes in the room, reverberations, like anything that's just going to help quiet the room and make it a little better. These, unless you had a ton of these and you had them all to all your reflection points, you're not going to have a really crazy difference. But just putting some of these up on a large room that doesn't have carpet, it will definitely help you some. Or a smaller room like a computer room, definitely going to do something there for sure. So I will have a link below for the different panels. This is the regular starter set, so there's 6 panels, and they have another smaller set in case you just need a few more panels. And right now they only have the black and the blue, and the blue is just a little too bright for me in a living room. So I didn't want to run with those, but now we're going to go over and we'll check them out on the wall. So here I'm going to show you what your plastic brackets look like mounted on the wall. And you can see they're held on. I chose to hold them on with the screws and washers. They provide you with some screws and washers. I don't think that it's enough. In my opinion, you're going to need more. So I went ahead and bought some drywall screws with some smaller washers. And I'll link to some of those in the comments. Below in the comments section, and that way you can make sure that you're not going to have any rattles or anything sticking off here. If you do have like a home entertainment setup, you got some subwoofers and stuff, you know, you could possibly then get some rattling. So I wanted to take care and make sure that I didn't have any of that going on, and screw in at least every other corner. Now where you have some of the corners meet, like right here for instance, I just have, you know, one here because it's going to pretty much hold that tight. And I don't have one here, but I'll have one over here on that. Now these are held together. First, when you're actually putting these up, you can assemble a few of the frames together with these clips, and then you can kind of set it up on the wall and you can see how it looks and if you're going to like it or not. So another thing to note is at one point the panels were fitting too tight together, so they were just crammed up, so I kept getting it popping out some. And one of the things, and I'm guessing this is in the design of it, is if you loosen the screws a little bit, since these holes are so big, if you loosen the screws out a little bit, you can actually shift these around a tad. So I had to pull one frame away from the other frame because the foam was just too tight and it was making them both pop out. So on the back of the frames, you can see right here, you have your openings that go maybe about a ½ inch in, and those are going to fit onto your plastic that sticks out here. So when you get everything figured out and you get it all put up where you want it, you start assembling your ideas. One other tip when you're putting these panels on is once you've got this one on here, the one that's going to go next to it, you're going to angle it in and you're going to press toward this one. And then that'll allow you to get those holes lined up. Sometimes it's really tight and those are the hardest ones to get on. So if you start with those first, then the rest of yours will just basically go right on. No problem. And then when you get that on, you're going to push down and you'll hear some crunching noise. And you want to try and get your panels as flat and even and with the other one as possible. That way when you're standing back a couple of feet, you can't even see that there's a seam there. That's what's going to look great. I mean, it looks like just one big flowing, you know, whatever you're into, the pipe going across or this circuit board look. So again, you know, start with that corner and put that in there first. And then you can go back through and you can kind of try and make sure everything's leveled up the best you can so you're not going to see those seams. Well, I hope this helped some of you out. If you found it helpful, please give me a thumbs up. You can subscribe if you'd like. I'm going to put in some more videos up for installation reviews and things like this. And check out below in the comments and you'll see some links to these items and anything else that might help, like some drywall screws and washers about the right size. All right, cheers.